Yeah. All right, we are live on YouTube. How's everyone doing today? How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode number 986. That's right, episode number 986 of Navigating the Modern World with Eli, the Walking with Purpose live edition. Live today from Red Morton Park here in beautiful, sunny Redwood City, California, where I live. The sun is out. The temperature is 77 degrees. It's an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous day here today. And hopefully you're having nice weather wherever you may be. And if you're not, hopefully you're staying safe until the bad weather passes. Today, there's a lot to talk about. And we're going to talk about a lot of things. But I just found out about something my family told me about. That's quite disturbing. I'm going to talk about it here in just a few. Before we get to the topic, would we be better off without technology and social media? We're going to get to that. But I just found out today that a longtime family friend passed away. And this gentleman passed away. People are saying the rumor is that he committed suicide, that he killed himself. And I'm quite a bit disturbed by this because there's some people coming, so let me go to the other side. A lady with her dogs. I'm quite disturbed by this because there is nothing that's worth taking your own life. Nothing, absolutely nothing. This was a gentleman that I knew. My mother knew. Lots of other people in the Greek Orthodox Church community knew. This gentleman also tremendously helped my dad out during a transition period. When my dad first came out to the U.S., he was selling cars and he was managing some car dealerships, and he even purchased a few car dealerships as a partnership with someone that ended up screwing him over. Long story, I've kind of shared it before. Maybe I'll share it again down the road, but that's not the point. The point is my dad left the car business, the car dealership business, and became a realtor. This was like my dad made this change in his, I believe it was his mid-50s. This gentleman, let's see, I heard he was like in his mid-60s. So if this was like, this guy must have been in his late 30s at that point when he was helping my dad out. So this gentleman, I believe he was in his mid to late 30s. And he was a very successful realtor, and he had his own real estate business because his father was a realtor, I believe. And His father trained him in the business, and this guy was a very, very good realtor. Very well-to-do, family man, everything. This guy had everything. And when my dad first got his, license, this guy, his name is Sam. I'll just say his first name is Sam. Sam, God rest his soul, trained my father and helped my father out a lot. My dad learned a lot about the business through Sam. And for my father's last 20 years or so of his life before he passed away at the age of 76, I believe it was almost 15 years ago, he had a very successful career in real estate, and a lot of that had to do with this man Sam that apparently, this is what I heard from my family, and then until I hear otherwise, I don't know why people would be saying this if it wasn't true, but this man took his life. And I heard from my family, like right before I was going to go on this walk, I heard from my family that apparently his wife left him and ran off with some other guy to Greece. And all of this, I'm hearing all of this right after I just did an almost 3-hour podcast with my girlfriend Dawn, which I'll share more about that in a little bit here, regarding the MGTOW community. Now, I don't know what happened in Sam's marriage, and it doesn't matter whether he did something wrong or his wife did something wrong. Whatever, caused the divorce or the falling apart of the marriage, it's not worth taking your life over. There's nothing that is worth taking your life for. And I've heard many stories in this modern world regarding men taking their own lives because their girlfriend broke up with them, or they keep getting rejected by women and this and that. None of that is worth taking your life over. None of that. None of that. Zero. You see, I told you prenuptial agreement is the way to go. I disagree with you, Honky Tonk Man. It's your opinion, and you can choose what you want to do. This whole thing was not about money, man. This guy, Sam, and his wife were both successful, and this is not about money, dude. This is not about money. I thought this guy was talking to me. I think he's on the phone. He looked at me and I waved at him. Oh, well. It's not about money, dude. This is about when you're with someone, and this is what a lot of men are afraid to express, because men feel that this makes them less of a man, or it makes them sound like a pussy. No. Men get emotionally attached too. But it's much harder, in my opinion, from what I've experienced and what I've seen, it's much harder for men to get rid of an emotional attachment than it is for a woman. See, what happens to a woman when she's in a relationship or a marriage and she's checked out, she doesn't immediately check out. She falls out of love slowly over the course of time. And then when she's ready and has processed everything, then she lets the man go. And then the man sometimes wonders why the divorce happened or the relationship ended. And a lot of times the women won't tell you, right? And it leaves that door open. And how to say it the right way? It does. There's no closure. There needs to be closure in every situation, and the right thing to do when you're going through a divorce or a breakup, the right thing to do if you're going to divorce someone or break up with someone is to give them that closure. But men do get emotionally attached. Even more so than women. It's hard for us to let it go because, again, a lot of times we're left high and dry. When a woman checks out, she checks out. And a lot of times women nowadays won't even tell you why they checked out. They just check out, right? And it's not that they don't want to tell you. It's because they feel bad about leaving you. They know the heartache it's going to cause you. But them not telling you makes the heartache even worse and puts you in a worse state. And some men that are not strong enough, when the pain becomes too much, they give up on their own life. And that's really sad. I'm here to tell all you guys out there, and even you ladies too, it's not worth it to take your own life for anything. It's not worth it at all. Sorry for your loss. It's okay, man. It's all right. I don't know the full story yet. I heard bits and pieces, and I wanted to share my thoughts because this man tremendously helped my father out, helped my family out during some rough times that we had. I don't get it. This guy was a confident man. He was a good-looking man. He had all the money in the world, all the properties in the world. But you want to know something? This just goes to prove that money doesn't buy happiness. Money doesn't buy love. You know, money can give you food to eat, can give you a roof over your head, can give you a nice car to drive. But it's not going to give you the true love and happiness that every man and woman craves, whether they admit it or not. So, without having to overdo this, and as I find out more, I'll share more. Sam, God rest your soul. You were a good man. I'm deeply hurt and saddened over the fact that you would take your own life over anything. This is a man that I looked up to as well. This is a man I respected. And did he get everything right? No. But did my dad get everything right? No. Have I gotten everything right? No. But I respected him because he fought through all the bullshit and made something out of himself. And to take that away from himself, it just fucking breaks my heart. It really does. Fucking breaks my heart. This just gives me another idea now that Don and I need to do a video on suicide prevention. The problem is out here on YouTube, if you title something with the word suicide in it, you could get demonetized. We got to do it in the way. It's going to be a good video to help people, but we got to do it in a way that's compliant with YouTube. We'll look into that, and we're going to end up doing a show like that on our podcast. God rest your soul, Sam. You will be missed. At least, I don't know if this is a good thing or not. It probably is. Because even Sam and my dad had their moments doing business together. But we all still respected each other, even though there were times where, sometimes the business aspect gets a little crazy. But Sam, you'll be in a better place now with my father. And I'll just tell you this, Sam. You're not going to hear the end of it from my dad. regarding taking your life. God bless his family. God rest his soul. Amen. With that being said, another update before we get to the topic here. Regarding would we be better off without technology and social media in this modern world? Would we be better off? And there's a reason why I chose this topic. It does stem off of the podcast that my girlfriend Dawn and I just recorded. Episode number 4 of the Dawn and Eli Take on the World podcast was recorded earlier today. And it was almost 2 hours. Sorry, it was almost 3 hours long. 2 hours and I think 47 minutes or something like that. And the topic was, we're talking about the MGTOW movement in 2025. Where is the MGTOW movement at in 2025? And we went over some Reddit postings, but a lot of it was commentary between Don and I, off the cuff commentary. And I've listened back to about half of the show already, while I was tearing down the equipment and preparing for this walk. And yeah, really good show. Lots of great information. Lots of new information. Also some information from the past that a lot of the new people aren't aware of. All right. I'm hearing some music from somewhere, but I'm wondering where it's coming from. All right, I think it was driving by on the street. Anyway, so Don and I were talking about MGTOW, and she shared her thoughts, I shared my thoughts, and I get a feeling that a lot of the people that listen to this show are going to disagree with a lot of what we're saying, but everything we said is true. Everything we talked about was based on our own personal experiences. All right. I've known about this community since I came out here on the YouTube scene as a real creator way back in 2017, 7 years ago, a little more than 7 years ago. And I was involved with the community, and I'll tell you, it was one of the most toxic environments I've ever dealt with in my life, whether it be toxicity happening online or offline. I've just never met a group of such toxic, ignorant, insecure, immature, mentally and emotionally unstable men that are so fucking miserable that instead of them, working with people that are in a good place like myself to better themselves, they kick people like myself down because they would rather stay stuck in endless misery. All right? They would rather continue to go all over the internet and say, oh, I'm going my own way. Well, good. Go your own way and don't post about it. Why the fuck do you feel the need to come on social media to let everyone know that you're going your own way? Just go the fuck your own way. And when you watch our podcast that's released this Wednesday, episode 4 will be released this Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on the other channel, GNA. genuine personal development. Links below in the description. It'll also be released throughout the entire podcast network, audio only, on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and my lady's favorite, iHeartRadio, and the rest of the unknown ones. When you hear this podcast, you'll hear a take on this unlike anything you've heard before, because you're not only going to hear the male perspective, you're going to hear the female perspective from my girlfriend of 3.5 years. And she kept it raw and real, and so did I. And this is what I love about having a woman that's willing to tackle these subjects with me, because we can give you both sides of the perspective. Right? Because if you're going to talk about these things and try to help people, you have to show people how you worked through all this, how you turned your life around, and show them your happiness with your woman. And that's what we did. And my lady's here right now. Hello, Tia. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Great to see you here. Respectfully, maturely, and professionally. Hey, lady. Hey, Dawn. Hey, babe. I found out that, remember the man Sam I was telling you about? I found out that he committed suicide. I don't know if you heard that part, babe. I'll share more with you when I get home. I pretty much shared everything at the beginning of the show. We're at 21 minutes, but I shared it about 15 minutes ago. How you doing? Hey, Tia, how are you doing? We're doing quite well. So, yeah, Don and I don't know if you heard Tia or anyone else that just tuned in. We recorded episode number 4 of our Don and Eli Take on the World podcast earlier today. It was almost 3 hours long. I believe it was 2 hours and 47 minutes long. And we talked about, where the MGTOW movement is in 2025. Great show. Probably one of the best shows Don and I have ever done. Very, very proud of this show. I think Don is proud of it too. Sounds like an interesting podcast. Yeah. What? Oh no. I cannot read. Who is that? Oh no, about what? Can you let us know what you're saying oh no about? Gisita, I can't even. There's so much sun here today. I'm having a hard time seeing the screen. That's horrible. How old was he? I believe he was in his mid-60s, babe. I don't know who that is, but that's heartbreaking. Oh, are you talking about Sam? Yeah, Sam was a family friend of ours. He was also a successful realtor that was about 15 to 17 years younger than my dad. And when my dad transitioned from being in the car business to becoming a realtor, first getting licensed at age around 54, 55 years old, Sam had his own real estate agency, and my father was working for him for a couple of years, learning the business. And Sam helped him out a lot. And yeah, they had their moments, don't get me wrong, but, what business people don't have their moments? But a lot of respect for Sam, and this is just very sad, very sad. Thank you for your kind words and thoughts and your condolences. That's appreciated. Like they say, in show business, the show must go on. It's a bummer, And yeah, the show will go on, but I've always been the kind of person that I feel these situations need to be acknowledged and recognized for the right reasons. We all have our moments. We all make mistakes. Look, everyone's fucked up, including myself, my father, God rest his soul, and even Sam, God rest his soul now. But, you know, yeah, at the end of the day, who hasn't fucked up? But at the end of the day, you know, for most people, the good outweighs the bad. And it certainly did for Sam and my father, and hopefully the good will outweigh the bad for me. I do the best I can to, keep the good on top of the bad and squash out the bad, but that's up for you folks to decide about me. I cannot be the judge of that. You folks can be. I can also choose to ignore any negativity, but you know what I'm saying. Lap number 1 is already done. R.I.P. to your friend. Thank you, Tia. I appreciate that. Longtime family friend. And Dawn, babe, we're gonna have to do a show on suicide prevention. Please, I hope you're willing to do that with me, because this subject is very it's just very touching and very serious to me. It's a very seriously natured topic. Anyway, yeah, so again, this Wednesday, April 16th at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, episode number 4 of the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast will be released out here on YouTube on the other channel. Links below in the description. GNA, Genuine Personal Development, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. And it will also be released at the exact same time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, throughout the entire audio-only podcast network. Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and my lady's favorite, iHeartRadio, and the rest of them. Give me a second. I need to get under some shade here. Yeah, babe, a very serious matter. It is, babe. It really is. His ex-wife probably has no remorse. No, dude, I think she does. No, listen, dude. Honky Tonk Man, you would be surprised how many ex-wives, even ones that cheat on their husbands or leave them for whatever reason, have remorse or feel bad about their death, especially if it's due to suicide. Would you not think, Honky Tonk Man, that, when his ex-wife finds out that he took his own life, would you not think that she would probably wonder if he did that because of her? And what kind of a weight would that put on her shoulder? I mean, you're entitled to your opinions, man. I respect your opinions. I disagree again on this one because, I think a lot of people feel remorseful whether they admit it or not. We don't all know how people truly feel deep down inside. Now, Donna and I are very transparent, and the people here at the GNA network, hang on, I've got somebody coming with the dog, so I'm going to cross. The people here at the GNA, we're always very transparent, and we speak from the heart, and we're real. But we're rare. Most people don't do that, especially out on the internet, because they feel that's being too vulnerable, right? That they feel that's sharing too much, right? So they pretend to be something they're not to mask how they really feel, right? When it comes to us over here, what we say is how we feel. When it comes to other people, even if they don't publicly come out and talk about certain things, We don't know how they feel deep down inside. But I think anyone would have remorse in a situation like this, in my opinion. Some women are evil, they gain power like that. Well, dude, any woman that's thinking, any human being, male or female, that's thinking like that is not a good person. I don't think Sam's ex-wife was a horrible person. We also don't know what happened in their marriage, why she stepped out. We don't know. We don't know the whole situation. Part of it could have been maybe he wasn't able to be as attentive to her, or he was working too much. That's still, that still doesn't excuse things. And we don't know how she left. We don't know if she all of a sudden just left or tried to work it out. We don't know. We can't assume that. You see, a lot of you guys out here, especially you guys, this is why Don and I, we're going to continue to tackle on this MGTOW content, because a lot of you guys want to blame the woman for everything. And I'm not saying that there aren't women that deserve to be blamed. There are, but there are also men that deserve to be blamed for shit too. People in general fuck up, male or female. But a lot of you guys out here, because you guys aren't able to get the woman of your dreams, or you keep getting rejected, you blame the woman for that. And the bottom line is, you're in control of your life. You're in control of whether you're in shape or overweight. You're in control of whether you smell or you take a shower and smell nice. Whether you smell like shit was what I'm trying to say, or take a shower and smell nice. You're in control of the clothes you wear. You're in control of how you groom your hair. If you don't have hair, you shave it off like me. You're in control of trimming your beard and looking nice, right? You're in full control. It's just some of you guys choose to let yourselves go, and then you still wonder at the same time why women won't look at you or pay attention to you. It's because of the lack of attention and care for yourself. The way you treat yourself is the way women are going to treat you. That's the truth of the matter, but no one talks about that shit because it gets no fucking views, right? What gets the views is you guys trash-talking women all the goddamn time, and I'm sick and tired of that shit. Now, do some women deserve to be trashed? Yeah. Do some men deserve to be trashed? Yeah. But it's not at the level you guys think it is. That's not the answer to the question, or that's not the answer to the problem. You guys are the problem. And you're making more problems for other men because they're watching you guys whine and complain like a little bitch. And they're joining you in that, even if they don't feel that way initially. That's what happened to me when I first joined the MGTOW group in 2017. I had a woman that cheated on me, and instead of just letting it go, I went and supported these guys and became a part of their group. And it didn't help me get better. It made me more angry and bitter. And after a year or so of doing that and meeting another woman, and this was affecting our relationship, and then I lost that relationship, I realized, shit, I'm being angry and bitter. What woman wants to be around a guy like that? I had to own the fact that I fucked up. It was my mistake. I was letting it get to me. And the problem was me, not the woman. Now, it's not right for a woman to cheat on you, but there's a reason why she did it. And this was a learning experience for me, but I had to dig deep and own up to my own issues and accept responsibility for my own issues before I could correct the problem. T, I'll get your message here in just a second. Whew. It's a nice day here today, 77 degrees. All right. Tia says, Honky Tonk Man, I agree with women being evil. I ran across many much worse than men. Tia says, when my husband passed, his ex had the nerve to come to his funeral. I had her escorted out. Ray did not want her there. I was honoring him. Honky Tonk Man, she's probably plotting how she can gain more money from the passing away. Come on, dude, I doubt that. Listen. Honky Tonk Man, if you or anyone else wants to think negative about every human being in every situation, man, then that just goes to show where your mindset is at. You have a negative mindset, right? I mean, that could be a possibility, but you could have rephrased it and said, "Hey, I hope that his ex does the right thing regarding his passing," instead of immediately assuming that I hope she's not trying to take more of his fucking assets now that he killed himself. Come on, dude, that's really fucked up, bro. That's really, really a fucked up thing to say, dude. It's not a mature thing to say. I'm just keeping it real. But it also tells me that you're bitter over something. I mean, maybe you've been through a bad relationship or divorce or something is making you bitter. I also notice as you've been coming around longer, Honky Tonk Man, I'm beginning to really think that you're a troll that's been pretending to be on the good side of things. Because you're here almost every show, regardless of whatever time I go live. And lately, you've been really, really amping up, disagreeing with things in some really, really, I hate to say, semi-offensive, if not offensive ways. You're entitled to your opinions, man. It's all good. But, a lot of the stuff that you're saying is not cool, dude. It really isn't. And not all women are like that. Not all women are bad. Just because some women and some men are bad doesn't mean by default we categorize everyone in that way. There are bad women and there are bad men. Like, regarding what Tia said in her situation, yeah, her ex-husband, one of his wishes at his funeral was to not have his ex be there. And she showed up and Tia kicked her out. That was, respecting her late husband's wishes. But that doesn't mean every single woman is like that. I have a dominant mindset. She's probably plotting how she can gain more money from his past. Okay. I'm married for 23 years with kids. Okay. So you're married for 23 years with kids. Are you happily married for 23 years? Are you happy with your wife? Or what's your situation like? If you're happily married for 23 years, then where is all this aggression towards women coming from? Because if you've been with your wife at least 23 years married, and maybe at least a few years before that, you've probably been with your wife close to 30 years between dating and marriage, right? So for the last 30 years, you haven't dated or been with another woman to even speak about how shitty women are. Yet you're saying, by default, women are shitty in this situation. Like, how can you say that lacking the experience? Because, that's a fair statement. A lot of, no disrespect, man. It's just a lot of the stuff you're saying is not making a lot of sense. Especially for a married guy. Yes, I put my wife in her place on the night we were married. All right, I've had enough of this shit. Tia or Dawn, which one of you wants to ban Honky Tonk Man? Just get rid of him. I don't want that shit here anymore. He's trolling. Which one of you wants to get rid of Honky Tonk Man? You think I'm fucking stupid, dude? You don't think I know who the fuck you are? What? You put your wife in her place the night you married. You want to know, dude? That's disrespectful to your fucking wife. That makes you less of a man. That makes you a piece of shit. An arrogant piece of shit is what that makes you. I don't have to say, you know who that is, Dawn, and you know who that is, Tia. And that's how woo this person really is. Yeah, I know that. I know that. No, it's the same person. It's the same person. He just, whew. I put my wife in her place 23 years ago. You know, no man that's confident would ever say that, even if you had to do that at times. At times, you got to put your woman in her place. But there's no need to come out fucking publicly on the internet and say stupid shit like that. Like, what the fuck are you trying to prove? That you're some macho man? You're a piece of shit. I don't want that negativity around here, or that crappy attitude, or that trolling attitude. What a fucking loser. What a pathetic loser. Thank you to the 34 people that are here right now. Tia, I'll check out your message in just a second. Lap number 2. Feels good today. Don and I are gonna have Mexican tonight and just chill after a long week. I didn't walk yesterday, folks, because I was just really exhausted. Don and I have been running around all week. Many appointments. We shared more about that on the podcast. I'm not going to spoil it here. You'll hear more about how this past week went on our podcast that's released this Wednesday. But yeah, it's just been a crazy week with lots of appointments, lots of errands to run, lots of cleaning to do. You know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It all adds up. So I needed the rest yesterday. And Dawn told me yesterday when she saw I was tired, she goes, right before I told her, you know, right while I was telling her actually that I was going to not walk yesterday and rest, she goes, I was just going to say something about that. Yeah, you're right. My body's telling me to take a day off. And I did. I listened. You got to listen to your body, folks. It feels good to be out here, though. The vitamin D in the sun and those endorphins kicking in. Excuse me. It's very stress relieving. Very stress relieving to take a nice walk, especially on a nice day like today. 77 degrees. I mean, I can't ask for any better weather. Maybe 72 or 70 would be perfect, but this is as close to the next best thing as possible. I'm not going to complain. No gloves, just one shirt. Slight breeze. It's all good. I wasn't sure that comment was asinine. He knew you knew he was trolling. Of course he did. Mexican is probably my favorite food, says Tia. Respectfully, truly, and professionally, Dawn. My girlfriend Dawn says Mexican and Italian are my favorites. No, he knew I knew he was trolling. He also knows I know exactly who he is. It's the same dude that's here every fucking day. It's all good, not a big deal. We're not even talking about him. Now he's gone permanently. Not even you're here every day or Don's here every day, Tia. This guy was here every single day, no matter what time I went live. So we know who it is. So during the final lap, let's talk about the actual topic. Episode number 986. 14 more episodes until 1,000. It's going to happen sometime in the next 2 to 2.5 weeks. It's going to probably happen at the end of April or the very beginning of May. And Dawn will be joining me on that walk. Now we'll see how far she can go. We'll come to the park here and we'll see how long she can go, and I'll make sure she's hydrated and all that. And I'll make sure she has all her protein and everything else before we do it. But we want to give you folks a very special treat on that day. Who knows? Maybe we'll make episode 1,000 a members only live stream. Who the fuck knows? We'll see. Bye, says my lady. And Tia says, I'm not crazy about Italian. It's okay. When I was younger, I ate it a lot more. Now it's anything Mexican. Not too hot though. I agree. I don't like the hot, overly spicy stuff. So, would we be better off without technology and social media in this modern world that we all live in? We are at 47 minutes. We are good for one more lap. In some aspects, I would say, yes, we would be better off. In other aspects, probably not. The situations that we're better off with technology. Number one, bridge toll out here now uses electronic toll passes called Fast Track. Before, we had to pay cash or buy a book of vouchers at the toll booth. And then, we'd have to wait in line to pay. Now, we just go right through and the transponder, is red, and boom, it just deducts it off your account. Now, what you do is you add a credit card onto your account, and it loads it up. It puts on $25 there, and when you get low, like around $5, it adds another $25, and then it just deducts. Anytime you cross a bridge, or if you use the express lanes, that's fast track only, you'll see the current rate. The rate is dynamic in the express lanes, depending on traffic. I think technology for this aspect is fantastic. Another thing, I'm all for technology. I remember when I first started working in my younger days, the internet had just come out, dial-up. And back in those days, there was no such thing as online bill pay. Online bill pay is phenomenal. Back in those days, to pay your credit card, you would have to write out a check, and then put it in the envelope, and put a stamp and mail it out, right? And here's the thing. If that wasn't already just enough work, right? You had to mail out the bill at least 2 to 3 business days in advance, so it can arrive there by the due date. If not, you would get a late fee. So now, with the technological aspect of online bill pay, Now you can even do it on your phone. You could do it on your computer. You can set up auto pay. Your bills are paid on time. Or you could pay them early. And you're never late. You never have to worry about late fees. There are no more. Whoa. Oh. I'm going to move around that way. The dog's owner came out at the same time. That dog is out again, babe. It's all good. So online bill pay, fantastic, right? Now, what about social media? This is the devil in disguise, right? This is part of technology that a lot of people are thinking has ruined people's social skills or has affected people from actually leaving their home to socialize. They do it all on the internet. And there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. Now, I grew up, and Tia, I'm sure you did too. We're around the same age. Same with Don. Tia, Don, and I, we all grew up during a time before the internet had social media and all these aspects. So we actually had to learn to socialize with people in the real world, right? Because there were no other options. There were no online forums, right? So we had to learn to do that realistically. I feel in certain aspects of the internet, including some aspects of social media, I feel we would be better off without social media. But at the same time, for people that know how to use social media properly and don't let it affect their personal life or their social skills, you know, for me, social media ties in perfectly with that, because the way I use social media is I'm my real self. I'm not trying to pretend to be something I'm not, right? I'm not trying to be some fake influencer just to make money. Yes, this is a business and we do want to make money, but we're very transparent about what we do and we're genuine and authentic. We're not trying to be something we're not. Plus, my social skills are not affected by social media. Actually, the social skills I had before social media was even created helps me be a better speaker out here and helps me to be a better person on social media, right? And that's one aspect I feel that the whole world is struggling on, especially our youth, especially the millennials and the Gen Zers, and now the Alpha generation. I believe they're 11, 12 years old, right? The generation after my generation, Don's and Tia's generation, Gen X. The generation after Gen X, the millennials, and then the Gen Zers, right? Gen Y millennials, Gen Zers, and now the Alpha generation, right? They're the ones affected by this, right? Because this is the way they're being taught to communicate, or at least this is the way that they're learning to communicate. Because what happens? Their parents, all these kids now, this is the sad part. These kids now are getting smartphones at like 12 years old. Like 11, 12 years old, these kids have smartphones. They can make calls, they can surf the internet, they can check their email, they can do everything that you and I can do. And what happens? They go to school, they're on their phone the whole time. Or they're texting each other in class. Or they're texting each other after class. And they're not even picking up the damn phone to call and have a phone conversation. They're texting. Or they're posting on social media, hey, look at me, right? A lot of these kids are living in a false sense of reality. It's ridiculous. And this is one aspect that needs to be changed. Now, I can understand for safety reasons, giving kids a phone to reach them is one thing. But I still think 12 years old is way too young to have a cell phone. What kind of responsibility are you teaching your kids by giving them $1,000+ device where they have access to the internet, calls, apps, everything? You have access to all the crazy shit that we have access to at 12 years old. That's the problem. Younger than 12, that's true, you're right. Try 8 years old? Well, shit, that's even worse. That's even worse, right? These phones are very distracting. The technology, especially the phones, are very distracting. But these kids have them at school. And I bet these phones, a lot of them, I bet the kids forget to put them on vibrate or silent. And these phones are ringing throughout every class every day. And I bet they're a huge distraction and really fucking annoying. And affect the learning process to be as productive as it used to be. Now, when it comes to these phones, let me be the first to say, if they got rid of these phones now, like, it would really upset me, and it would basically turn my life upside down. You know why? Because they've gotten me used to it. They've gotten us used to it. It has made many things much easier. Like I said, online bill pay. If you want to surf the internet, or if you want to use your GPS to get you somewhere, you can even plug in your phone to your car. Cars now have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The newer ones, like 2016 and up, they have them, right? I've got it in my car. Plug it in. The map shows up on your screen. You can use Apple Maps if you have an iPhone, or you can even use Google Maps on the iPhone. If you have an Android, you can use Google Maps or something else. And that's great. Back in the days when the internet first came out, we had to print out instructions. There was a company called MapQuest. I don't think they're around anymore. But MapQuest would do the same thing that Google Maps does. But this saves paper. And it just shows you, hey, in 300 feet, turn right. Or you can even have it voice navigate you. That's great. There are good aspects of these phones. The bad aspect of it is that it's taking over socializing even in the real world. So people are spending more time socializing through their phone, through these apps, right? And nothing wrong initially doing that, but, you know, like for me, before I met Dawn and in between relationships, when I was using dating apps, I would send messages for a little bit to get to know these women. Because until I would get to know them through a few messages and see what they say, I didn't know if I wanted to invest the time to even have a phone call with them. But if we were talking for, half the day or so, and it was a pleasant conversation and it felt right, then I would say, hey, how about we have a brief conversation by phone tonight and see how that goes? And if it goes well, then maybe we can meet up, right? You gotta take that next step. Like, a lot of these conversations just stay stuck on the phone, stay stuck in these apps, and that's really not a healthy way to communicate. It's one thing to use these phones to manage your time, maybe to initially start a conversation with someone that you're getting to know. But if it feels right at some point, you guys say, hey, let's talk on the phone or let's meet and see where it goes. I think too many people have let these phones and the internet replace, you know, socializing digitally instead of the real world. Well, that's in the phone, Don. I used Disney as my babysitter. They have become the babysitters for some parents. You're right about that. That's the problem. A lot of parents see now you need to. Don and I talked about this on the podcast as well. That a lot of you know a lot of families have dual income where both the man and the woman work because you can't afford to survive otherwise. And what happens? You know, um, in the case of you, Don, you used to work the night shift. Your ex used to work the day shift, and then you would pass ways from each other, and you had to keep your kids occupied in the meantime. So what do? I'm not saying you did this, but for example purposes, you give kids these phones that occupies them, and the truth of the matter is they need more family time. They need more family time with mom and dad. They need a more regular schedule with mom and dad. Kids need to go to school during the day, get their education, come home, do their homework, being supervised by their parents, and then have dinner with their parents and have family time. But they're not getting that nowadays. They're getting a goddamn smartphone. That's what they're getting. And no wonder why they're turning out this way. I didn't turn out this way because that's not how I was raised. I had so much family time. Man, that dude just turned in the middle there for some reason. I had lots of family time with grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, aunt, cousin, brother. Did I say mom, dad? Now, my dad did work a lot of hours, and a lot of times he wasn't there until later on. But at least my mom was there to have dinner with us and to watch us do our homework. But my mother back then wasn't burnt out because she didn't start working until I was like 16 and a half. Back in those days, my dad worked hard and was able to provide for the family on one income at that time. If that wasn't the case, then yeah, the same thing might have happened to me, but that's not what my dad wanted. My dad wanted to make sure at least one of the parents were there all the time and not tired to, watch us, supervise us, doing our homework, having dinner with us, having family time, right? Well, that's better than a phone, Don. Well, yeah, Disney is better than a phone. At least, you're teaching your kids, good quality messages through Disney. Disney has always been a company that's trusted. So, I'm not saying I agree with a lot of the woke stuff they're doing, but like the bottom line is, Disney is very kid friendly, and that is absolutely a way better way to occupy your kids than give them a smartphone. Yep. Absolutely. 65 minutes, an hour and 5 minutes. What is it right now? Is it Is it around 9 Central, 7 p.m. Pacific? Around 7:05, 9:05 Central, 7:05 Pacific. Time check, please. I'll tell you another great thing about these, or about technology. Is now you buy your movie tickets online, and or you buy whatever tickets to whatever event, and you use a QR code. 653. So it's so it's 6:53 my time. So it's almost 7 p.m. Okay, thank you, Tia. Appreciate that. Nowadays with, since the invention a while back of the QR code, you prepay for your tickets in advance, even at the movie theater or any special event. You can also order food to be delivered to your seat. Now, these are just modern conveniences, but quite frankly, I like having these options because in the past, going to the movie theater, you had to buy your tickets at the box office, right? With cash. They didn't even start taking credit cards, back in the days when I was working, like in the late 80s, early 90s. Eventually they did. But there would be long lines at the box office, and then there would be long lines at the concession stand, right? And then you had to carry all this stuff from the concession stand, to your seat. So, a lot of these modern conveniences, they're not bad. And that doesn't make you lazy per se. They're just modern great conveniences that I like about the technological world. So, do I think we would be better off without technology overall? No, absolutely not. But I think there are aspects of technology that, we need to reform, in my opinion. We need to, handle in a better way. Because, kids from a very young age are going to be early adapters of technology. That's just the way it goes. I was an early adapter of technology when I was young. Technology was already happening, but it was nowhere near where it was at. So, there was no social media. There was no internet initially. And then when the internet first came out through dial-up, your phones didn't have internet access initially. And, there wasn't, any dating sites or anything like that. It was just pretty basic. There were some chat forums if you knew how to use programs like IRC called Internet Relay Chat. But a lot of people, those are for the super users that knew about that. A lot of us didn't know about all these things. So we were still socializing more so in the real world. Now, in 2025, and it's been this way for at least the last, I would say, 12 to 15 years, right? I don't know of one person that can say they socialize more in the real world than online. Now, Don and I socialize in the real world. We go out. But let's be real, because we're YouTubers and we have an online business, we spend the majority of our time online, right? The thing with us is that, we're from the old school era where we learned and we still know how to socialize in the real world. And that's why even here on social media, including YouTube, when we're using social media, we represent ourselves exactly how we are in the real world. You know what, babe? One of these days, I'm going to bring you here. Maybe for episode number 1000, we will come and get a Crepelicious. If you're still around, Don, or even Tia, how does this look? Crepelicious. Still have 32 people here. Thank you to everyone for being here. Please smash the thumbs up and please share this out. Also, please start getting your final questions, comments, and concerns in the chat. We're going to be going off the air in about, I'd say 5 to 7 minutes or a little bit less. I want one, please. Well, we can come and get one day this week, or maybe episode number 1000. They'll be here. And we'll pull out some cash for that day, and we'll get one. We can split one or get our own. They're probably pretty big. Tia says, I appreciate the internet. I feel that's part of the problem. People use it for the wrong reasons. That is true. And I'm not going to spoil it here. Don and I talked a lot about that on the podcast this week for episode number 4. And we went into a deeper detail on it. But you're right, Tia. People use the internet for the wrong reasons. Like I keep saying, I think to a certain extent, everyone needs a support group, regardless of whether you're in a good place, a not so good place, or in the middle, right? But more so, especially for the people that are in a bad place, a not so good place, right? Like I've always said, these people come out here on YouTube, for example, and are looking for an outlet because they're struggling with something internally, right? There's something lacking within them, right? Or they're lonely, or they're miserable, or they're unhappily married, or whatever, right? So they come out here on YouTube, for example, or Reddit, for example, and instead of seeking a positive group that will uplift them and help them work through their underlying issues to correct the issues, they conglomerate and they connect and conglomerate with people that are just like them, which further enables their shitty behavior and it further enables their problems, right? So instead of getting the help to turn themselves around, they're associating with a ton more people that are struggling just like them, and so they all conglomerate and validate each other's behavior as normal. They validate each other's behavior as normal, right? And it gives them a false sense of not having done anything wrong, when the truth is they've done everything wrong, right? That's the problem with the internet. The internet is allowing even groups of people to conglomerate that are very toxic and are very harmful to everyone in the group. TS says 100. What do you say 100 to? What I'm saying here is that these groups are very toxic and harmful and make the matters worse, right? Right? So, we went into more detail on that on our MGTOW podcast show, the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast, episode number 4. Well, the truth about MGTOW, the truth about the MGTOW movement in 2025. Hi, buddy. My girlfriend Dawn thinks you're cute, buddy. You're like 10 pounds lighter than our dog, which is technically Dawn's dog, Bochi. But I'm sure that dog has a good bite. He definitely has a good bark like Bochi, but he is a little bit smaller than Bochi. I wonder how Bochi would handle that dog. Bochi would go crazy if we brought him on a walk and he saw that dog, but the other dog would probably go crazy too. And then, so we have Bochi at 45 pounds, 44, 45 pounds. We have that dog at 35 pounds. Then we have Buster at 15 pounds. Buster at 15 pounds. He's like one of those tough short vatos, those ass-kicking vatos, you know. The short vatos that will whoop your ass, right? Buster is like a 15-pound ass-kicking dog. And that's why Bochi respects Buster so much, and they're like brothers from another mother. Like we've never had any problems with these dogs. They're like family to us, you know. But yeah, it'd be interesting to get that dog over there and Buster and Bochi in the same fenced area, like in that front yard, and see what would happen. On second thought, that probably wouldn't be a good idea. But I bet they would all end up getting along. I bet you none of them would hurt each other. Like, they do a lot of fucking barking, but that's what dogs do. Just because dogs will bark a lot doesn't mean they're going to bite you. It just means they're making themselves known. Then they want to sniff you, like Don says. They want to sniff you. And then it should be all good. All right. Get your final questions, comments, concerns in the chat. We're going to be going off the air in just about a couple minutes or so. Totally agree, says Tia. Well, thank you for your thoughts and your feedback, Tia. We greatly appreciate you. 2 great shows today. I really loved this show here. And the show that Dawn and I did. Wow, just absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait to release that on Wednesday. Whenever we do MGTOW stuff, we get a lot of engagement, and I know there's going to be a lot of engagement on this one. And there are probably going to be some guys that are going to be pissed off, but we're not looking to piss you off. We're looking to help you get what you want. Like, do you really want to be stuck on stupid and stuck being miserable? I'll say one more thing here, you know. We had a troll come in here earlier. He knows who he is. We're not going to mention him, but he's saying that one person from this trolling group that's been paying people, he came back in the stock account and said that, that person just, paid me. So he paid you because you're able to last a certain amount of time on your stock account, right? Hey, Whoosh Whoosh, how you doing? So I thought you were a multi-six-figure man that has plenty of money. So why would it matter for anybody to give you money? Because one of your stock accounts, you're able to play it off like you're somebody real for a certain amount of time, and you lasted a few weeks instead of getting banned right away. Like, that's stupid to pay someone money for that, and it's stupid for you to come back and say that, right? That's just really stupid. Stupid. Goes to show how much more stupid this guy is. Wow. Whoosh whoosh. Want your help for what? To make MGTOW men want marriage? I never said that. It's everyone's choice. Whoosh whoosh. Everyone should be able to make their own choice regarding what they want. What I don't think is fair is for MGTOW guys like you at your age, or MGTOW guys in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, to be coming out here and trying to convince younger men like the younger millennials, like 35 and under, and then the Gen Zers, and now the Alpha generation. You guys are all trying to convince these men that, marriage is a bad fucking deal. Never get married and just pump and dump women and all that shit, right? I'm here to say that's fucked up. That's stupid. And when we release our podcast this Wednesday, you're all going to hear the truth about what's really going on here. The problem is the men. The problem is the men that feel this way. They're the problem because they have not owned up to their own issues. They have not corrected their own deficiencies of themselves. And it's just an insecurity. We'll share more about that on the podcast when we release it. Or we shared more about that on the podcast, and we'll be releasing the podcast. We will be releasing the podcast, which is what I'm trying to say, this Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Time to go. 81 minutes. With that being said, 29 in the box, 4 thumbs up. Please smash thumbs up. Please share this out. With that being said, Tia says, thanks, Eli. Looking forward to the podcast. You and Don enjoy your evening. You too, Tia. Everyone have a good night and better tomorrow. Absolutely, Tia. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Don, for being here. Respectfully, maturely, and professionally. My girlfriend, my beautiful lady, Dawn. And thank you, Whoosh Whoosh, for being here. Have a good one. With that being said, have a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other. See you all tomorrow. Good night, everyone.